WWE NXT Vengeance Day results February 15, 2022. The WWE NXT Vengeance Day special opens up with a video that shows Toxic Attraction, NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne, texting about tonight's matches. We're live on Sci-Fi as Vic Joseph welcomes us to Vengeance Day at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida. The crowd cheers and we go right to the ring for the opener. Weaponized steel cage match, Pete Dunne vs Tony D'Angelo. The steel cage is already set up and weapons are all over the walls of the cage, and laying around. Pete Dunne is waiting in the middle of the cage and Alicia Taylor does the introductions. The only way to win this match is by pinfall or submission. The camera cuts to the back and we see Tony D'Angelo arrive in a Maybach. D'Angelo heads to the cage as Dunne looks on. The bell rings and Dunne immediately nails a dropkick. Dunne unloads and sends Tony into the steel. Dunne unloads with steel chair shots now. D'Angelo turns it around with a trash can shot to the face. D'Angelo then drives Dunne down onto the trash can with a suplex. D'Angelo with a big kendo stick shot over the back. We see a table leaning up in the corner. D'Angelo opens a toolbox but Dunne slams it shut on his hand, then double stomps it. Dunne goes to work on D'Angelo's fingers with a wrench now. D'Angelo grabs a fire extinguisher and sprays Dunne with it while he's on the top turnbuckle. D'Angelo climbs up and tangles with Dunne, who is hanging over the top of the cage. D'Angelo brings Dunne back to the mat with a huge superplex from the top of the cage. Fans chant "Holy shit!" as Dunne kicks out at 2. Dunne and D'Angelo are both down as the referee checks on them. Fans chant "This is awesome, now." D'Angelo grabs a pair of zip ties from the toolbox now. He cuffs Dunne's hands behind his back. D'Angelo works Dunne over and talks some trash while he's stuck on his knees. D'Angelo grabs a hammer and pries at Dunne's mouth with it. Dunne with a big headbutt. D'Angelo runs into the corner as Dunne sidesteps. Dunne, still handcuffed, brings D'Angelo down into a submission. D'Angelo powers up with a big powerbomb in the middle of the ring. D'Angelo follows up with a DDT for a 2 count. Fans chant for tables now. D'Angelo goes to powerbomb Dunne through the leaning table in the corner but Dunne slides out and applies a guillotine, while still cuffed. D'Angelo starts to fade. Dunne cuts himself free with a pair of pliers in the toolbox. D'Angelo sends Dunne headfirst into the steel of the cage. D'Angelo climbs up and grabs his crowbar from the cage wall but Dunne hits him in the back with a chair. Dunne grabs D'Angelo from the top and runs across the ring, launching him through the leaning table with a big powerbomb. Fans chant "Holy shit!" but D'Angelo still kicks out at 2. Dunne unloads on D'Angelo with his cricket bat now. Dunne with the bitter end for a close 2 count in the middle of the ring. Dunne can't believe it. Dunne grabs Tony's crowbar and swings but misses and D'Angelo drops him with a low blow or a chop block. D'Angelo follows up with his fisherman's neck breaker but Dunne kicks out just in time. Fans chant "This is awesome," again. Dunne grabs another crowbar and decks D'Angelo in the gut as he swings the first crowbar. Dunne decks D'Angelo again and nails the bitter end on top of some of the table debris for the pin to win. Winner, Pete Dunne. After the match, Dunne stands tall as the music hits. We go to replays. Dunne stands tall over D'Angelo, who is laid out on his back. We get a video where Raquel Gonzalez calls Cora Jade to wake her up. Jade says it's 5 a.m. and Gonzalez can't believe she's still asleep if she wants to win the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Gonzalez is outside of Jade's house and ready to train. Jade gets dressed and they head to the gym. Gonzalez tells her it'll take 3 wins to win the tournament, so let's get to work. They train but Gonzalez smacks a pastry out of Jade's hand and says that's not part of the plan. We see them running at a park now, and doing more exercises. Gonzalez keeps pushing Jade and says they have to do this all again tomorrow. She gives Jade props for killing it on day 1. Vic and Wade are at the entranceway now. They hype the Women's Dusty Classic beginning next week and send us to Mackenzie Mitchell, who is standing in the crowd with the trophy. She talks about the men's Dusty Classic finals for tonight, then sends us to a video from earlier today of the Creed brothers and Malcolm Bivens cutting promos on how they will win. They are confident that they will win the tournament tonight because it's the diamond mine forever. We get a pre-recorded promo from MSK now. They are confident they will make history tonight by winning the MSK for the second year in a row. We see video of Trick Williams and NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes arriving earlier today. We also see footage of Cameron Grimes arriving earlier. NXT Women's Tag Team Titles match, Indi Hartwell and Persia Pirotta vs Toxic Attraction. We go back to the ring for tonight's first title match and out comes Toxic Attraction, NXT Women's Tag Team Champions Gigi Dolin and Jacy Jayne with NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose. They head to the ring and raise their titles in the air. Out next comes Indi Hartwell and Persia Pirotta. Dolin and Jayne attack the challengers from behind as they enter the ring. They send Hartwell and Pirotta to the floor, then fly off the apron to take them back down as Rose cheers them on. They bring it back in and the bell rings as Jayne levels Pirotta with a big forearm. Pirotta comes back with a big fall-away slam. Indi tags in and they double-team Jayne for a 2 count. Fans chant "We want Gigi," as Indi beats Jayne around the ring. Indi with a big boot to the head for a 2 count. Jayne takes Indi to the corner and places her up top. Dolin tags in and they double-team Indi while Rose distracts the referee from the apron. Rose ends up putting hands on Indi while she's down on the floor, rolling her back in, but the referee sees this and ejects her to the back. Dolin goes back to work on Indi while Rose yells at the referee and we go to a picture-in-picture commercial. Back from the break and Jayne and Indi are trading strikes in the middle of the ring. They both go down and start crawling to make tags. Dolin and Pirotta tag in. Pirotta with clotheslines and a big splash in the corner. Pirotta launches Dolin face first into the top turnbuckle, then nails a spear. Jayne jumps on Pirotta's back. Pirotta ends up with both champs on her back, then slams them to the mat. She covers Dolin for a close 2 count. Pirotta and Indi take out Dolin with a spinebuster and Indi covers but Jayne runs in to break it up. Jayne and Persia tumble to the floor and Persia gets sent into the steel steps by Jayne. Indi tries to launch herself in from the apron but Jayne trips her and she lands on her face. The referee didn't see it. Dolin capitalizes with a roundhouse kick but Indi kicks out at 2. Jayne and Dolin double team Indi with a high-low for the pin to retain now. Winners, Toxic Attraction. After the match, Dolin and Jayne stand tall as the music hits. We go to replays. Mandy returns to the ring to celebrate. Amari Miller and Wendy Chu are backstage walking and talking. Chu asks about possibly teaming up for the Dusty Classic but Miller says she already has someone. Wendy says that's okay. Miller walks off and Chu gives her a thumbs up, but turns her thumbs up to a thumbs down. Chu walks over to Dakota Kai and proposes they form a tag team. Kai talks about it to herself or her imaginary friend, and Chu says when you two figure it out, let me know. Grayson Waller and Sangha are out in the parking lot with 2 police officers. Waller is apparently conspiring with Sangha to set LA Knight up so he will be arrested for violating his restraining order. Waller walks off with the cops as we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Josh Briggs is at a local bar with Brooks Jensen. Jensen says his Valentine's Day date with Caden Carter went great. Briggs says Jensen still owes him money. Jensen recalls how he and Carter talked about the Dusty Classic and some other stuff, then he drove Carter home and they hugged. Jensen says Carter said something so cute, that he's like a little brother to her. Briggs says that's not a good thing. Briggs calls a bartender over for her opinion but it's Fallon Henley, who says this is her parents' place and she just picks up shifts now and then. Fallon and Briggs try to break it to Jensen that he's been friend-zoned by Carter, and he yells out no, when he realizes this. We go back to the ring and out comes LA Knight to a pop. Before he can speak, the music interrupts and out comes Grayson Waller with 2 police officers. Waller points Knight out and says that's the man who has been obsessing over him for months. It didn't have to be this way, he says. Fans chant asshole, now. Waller and the officers enter the ring. Waller shows us a video of recent happenings between he and Knight. Waller says Knight has caused him emotional trauma, so he did what he had to do and got a restraining order, but Knight put hands on him again and now he can't sleep, he's full of anxiety. Waller calls on the officers to arrest Knight because they've seen the evidence. They start approaching Knight but he takes the mic and says he knows he has the right to remain silent, but he also has the right to explain his side, so let him talk to ya. Knight has some video evidence of his own. He shows us footage from 2 weeks ago where Waller dropping him at ringside as he faced off with Sanga during the match with Jacy. Knight reads the restraining order and it also says Waller can't touch Knight, not just Knight can't touch him. Knight says this means the paper isn't worth anything. The officers leave the ring and Waller pleads, saying he tripped on the barricade and never actually touched Knight. Waller asks if this means Knight can do whatever he wants right now. He turns around to a big clothesline from Knight. Knight mounts him with lefts and rights, then stomps away in the corner. Sanga approaches the ring but Knight knocks him off the apron to the floor. Knight then sends Waller out of the ring into Sanga's arms. Knight announces that next week he will stomp Waller's ass out. Fans cheer him on as the music hits. Waller poses in the corner and yells at Waller and Sanga as they look on. Indi, Hartwell and Persia Pirotta are backstage reacting to their title match loss. Indi says it was all her fault but Persia disagrees and says they will have another chance in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. Dexter Lumis walks up and Indi hugs him. Persia says hello but she's not thrilled to see Lumis. Indi and Lumis leave together. Duke Hudson walks in and looks on as Lumis and Indi leave. Duke takes Persia's hand and they leave together. We see Cameron Grimes and Carmelo Hayes backstage. They head to the ring and we go back to commercial. Back from the break and Tommaso Ciampa is backstage talking about how he's built his brand, his home, but some people out there still act like this is just some minor league farm system. They think they're better than him. Dolph Ziggler thinks he's better than Tommaso Ciampa, he says. Ciampa says Ziggler has mistaken his loyalty for fear. Ciampa says it's not about that tonight, it's about Santos Escobar versus Bron Breakker for the NXT title, the same title he wants, the same title Ziggler wants. He calls it quite the predicament. He is sure Ziggler will be watching, like he will definitely be watching because this is his home. Ciampa sends his chair flying and storms off. NXT North American title match, Cameron Grimes vs Carmelo Hayes. We go back to the ring and out comes NXT North American champion Carmelo Hayes with Trick Williams. They hit the ring and pose while the spotlight shines on Hayes. Out next comes Cameron Grimes. Grimes heads to the ring as dollar bills fly all over the entranceway. We get formal ring introductions from Taylor. The bell rings and here we go. Vic says we will hear from Dolph Ziggler tonight. Hayes looks on as Grimes taunts him. Hayes taunts him back and they have words. They finally lock up and Hayes takes it to the ropes. Grimes goes for the leg for a takedown but Hayes gets to the ropes and they break. They lock up again and Grimes takes Hayes down by his arm. Hayes turns it back around by Grimes' arm as they tangle. They go to lock up again but Grimes takes Hayes down by his leg. Hayes swings in the corner but Grimes ducks and takes him down by his arm as Trick looks on concerned. Grimes with a takedown by Hayes' arm for a quick 1 count. Grimes grounds Hayes by his arm again. Hayes turns it around as fans do dueling chants. Vic says tonight's main event will be commercial free. Grimes drops Hayes with a shoulder for a pop. They run the ropes and Grimes shows off, taunting Hayes, telling him to kiss his grits. Grimes with big right hands and a kick. Hayes takes control but Grimes launches him with a big backdrop. Grimes and Trick have some words now. Hayes takes Grimes down and rocks him with the right hand. They tangle and Hayes nails a clothesline. Hayes charges but Grimes sends him through the ropes to the floor. Grimes goes for a running punt kick from the apron but Hayes catches it and counters off a trick distraction. Hayes takes Grimes back to the corner and mounts some offense. Hayes shows off some as we go to a commercial break. Back from the break and Hayes has Grimes grounded by his arm. We see how Trick decked Grimes with 2 cheap shots during the break. Grimes takes Hayes down and blocks a kick in the corner, then kicks Hayes away. Hayes keeps coming until they collide in mid-air and Grimes hits the crossbody. Grimes kips up after a few minutes down. Hayes also gets up and they trade lefts and rights in the middle of the ring. Hayes jabs Grimes in the throat. Grimes catches a kick and nails a Hurricane Rana. Grimes avoids a shot by Trick and mounts offense on Hayes. Grimes blocks a takedown by the arm, then plants Hayes face first into the mat. Hayes kicks out at 2. Fans chant "This is awesome," now. Grimes goes for a German suplex but Hayes elbows him away. They trade strikes and Hayes drop kicks Grimes, then springboards with a big right hand. Hayes wastes some time but covers for a 2 count. Fans do dueling chants as Hayes looks to put Grimes away. Grimes fights him off and Hayes runs into a super kick for another close 2 count. Grimes can't believe it and Trick is worried at ringside. Fans chant "This is awesome," and NXT, now. Grimes with a big kick to the chest while Hayes is on his knees, and another. Trick gets on the apron and Grimes has words with him. Hayes comes from behind but Grimes moves, and Hayes runs into Trick. Grimes takes advantage and drops Hayes on his head, then knocks Trick off the apron. Grimes goes to the top and hits the big crossbody but Hayes somehow kicks out at 2. Grimes looks to capitalize again but Hayes rolls to the floor to safety. Grimes leaps off the apron but Trick pushes Hayes out of the way and sacrifices himself to the cave-in. Hayes turns it back around at ringside, and sends Grimes into the barrier face first. Hayes brings it back in to drop Grimes but he still kicks out. Hayes transitions into a crossface submission. Grimes fades but goes for the bottom rope. Trick pulls the rope away from him and the referee sees him. Grimes turns it into a close 2 count. Grimes gets dropped near the corner before Hayes goes to the top and hits the big flying leg drop for the pin to retain. Winner, Carmelo Hayes. After the match, Hayes stands tall as the music hits. We go to replays. Hayes raises the NXT North American title in the air as Trick celebrates with him. We get a video package for the 2022 Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The finals are up next. Back to commercial. Back from the break and Kaylee Ray is with Io Shirai. KLR smashes some stuff on a table with a baseball bat. She asks Shirai if she wants to take a swing but it's not her style. KLR talks her into it, reminding her of how Toxic Attraction has all the gold. Shirai changes her mind and starts destroying dishes on the table. KLR and Shirai have a laugh together now. Zoe Stark walks up and says the place is a mess now, what are they doing? Shirai takes her cup and smashes it, and says she likes KLR. Shirai walks off and Stark tells KLR she's off to a better start than she had with Shirai. KLR says they're going to have some fun. 2022 NXT Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic Finals, MSKVS. The Creed brothers. We get a quick video package with a voiceover from the late WWE Hall of Famer Dusty Rhodes, and his theme song. This transitions into DJ Tommy Carlucci performing live the theme song of MSK as Wesley and Nash Carter head to the ring. The Diamond Mine is backstage now. Malcolm Bivens, the Creed brothers, Ivy Nile, Roderick Strong. Bivens gives them a pep talk in a huddle before they head out. Strong and Nile hug Brutus Creed and Julius Creed, then the brothers head to the ring with Bivens. The winners of this match will have their names added to the Dusty Cup trophy, and they will earn a future title shot at NXT Tag Team Champions Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner of Imperium. Brutus starts off with Carter and they go at it. Carter with a takedown but Brutus turns it into an ankle lock. Carter breaks it with the ropes. Brutus with another takedown. Julius tags in and they double team Carter with a big slam. Brutus stays in and launches Carter into the ropes with another throw. Julius goes back to work on Carter, ragdolling him some. Carter counters and lands on his feet. Lee tags in, flips in from the apron and goes to work on Julius. MSK double teams Julius now for a pop. Brutus has words with Lee until the referee backs Brutus back to the apron. Lee runs the ring and leaps over the post, taking Julius down on the floor as he tried to regroup. Lee and Julius go at it in the ring now. Julius blocks a flipping kick, then dumps him on the top rope. Julius knocks Carter off the apron, then runs and sends Lee flying from the apron onto the announce table with a shoulder block. The Creed brothers stand tall in the ring while MSK is down at ringside. We go to commercial. The Creed brothers dominated during the picture-in-picture break. Brutus drives a knee into Lee's leg, then applies a bear hug to wear him down in the middle of the ring. Lee fights out with elbows but Brutus tightens the hug. We come back from the break and see the Dusty Cup high in the crowd, under a photo of Dusty. The hug is finally broken but Brutus stalks Lee into the corner. He charges but hits the bottom turnbuckle head first as Lee moves. Brutus grabs Lee's leg to prevent a tag but Lee kicks him. Julius and Carter tag in at the same time and they go at it. Carter unloads and slams Julius face first into the mat, then follows up with a big German suplex for a pop. Carter unloads with a sweep and a kick, then knocks Brutus off the apron. MSK with a big double team to Julius on the floor. Carter brings Julius back in and goes to the top for a swanton, then he drop kicks Brutus off the apron. Lee goes to the top with a big corkscrew splash on Julius but Julius kicks out just in time. Fans chant "This is awesome," now. Carter tags in and leaps off Lee into the corner but Julius grabs him. MSK fights and keeps control with a big double stomp but Julius kicks out as Brutus explodes into the ring to break the pin up. Fans chant "Creed, now." Lee kicks Brutus in the head but Brutus levels him into the corner. Carter kicks Julius out of the ring. Carter runs the ropes and nails a suicide dive but Julius catches him in mid-air at ringside, then slams him on his head with a rolling senton on the floor. Julius brings it back into ring, punches himself and drops the straps to get hyped up. Julius nails the sliding forearm to Carter for the pin and the win. Winners of the 2022 Men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, the Creed brothers. After the match, Brutus and Julius stand tall as fans cheer them on and the music hits. Bivens is shocked at ringside. We go to replays. Bivens and the brothers celebrate as the confetti falls and the Creed brothers pose with the trophy. We get a new vignette from Nikita Lyons. She says her dad once talked to her before one of her gigs and told her to quit beating people up because it's easy to push them away, and told her she was put here on earth to bring people together. The rest was history. We see Lyons dancing and apparently rapping. She says the feeling of crushing a dance routine can only be compared to landing a knockout blow in the ring. She's a whole lotta woman who is ready to do a whole lotta hooping. She's not going to hide it, deny it, or apologize for it. Next week, you better watch out for this Lyons roar. We go back to the ring and Imperium is in the ring, Gunther and NXT Tag Team Champions Marcel Barthel and Fabian Aichner. Gunther yells at the ring announcer for how his name was said. Fans chant Walter, in response. Aichner congratulates the Creed brothers for winning an opportunity, and says that's all it is, an opportunity. Barthel goes on about how they are not prepared to endure the misery and the suffering it takes just yet. Gunther says Barthel and Aichner have brought honor to this great sport, but now it's time to set his championship goals in NXT, so tonight he will be watching the main event with the highest of interest. Fans chant USA, now. Gunther says we are Imperium and to us, the mat is. The music interrupts and out comes Solo Sikoa to a pop. Fans chant USO, as Solo says he doesn't give a damn about the mat being sacred because on the island, we have to climb the ladder, find the biggest and baddest dude, then smack the taste out of his mouth. That's exactly what Solo is about to do. He stands on the apron and stares Imperium down. He doesn't care how Gunther says his name, he's about to wipe the ring with the ring general and make him his bitch. Gunther stares Solo down and holds the tag champs back. Solo backs off the apron and heads up the entranceway while Imperium stares him down. Mackenzie Mitchell is backstage with Dolph Ziggler. He talks about Tommaso Ciampa being on Raw last night and says Ciampa is the pulse of NXT, and next week he stops that pulse and any chance Ciampa has at becoming NXT champion. Ziggler goes on about kicking down the door of Ciampa's home next week, and says he will be watching tonight's main event closely. Ziggler walks off. NXT title match, Santos Escobar vs Bron Breakker. We go back to the ring for tonight's commercial-free main event as Legado del Fantasma comes out, Santos Escobar with Elektra Lopez, Joaquin Wilde, and Raul Mendoza. Back to commercial. Back from the break and there's a brief backstage segment with Pete Dunne, Trick Williams, and NXT North American Champion Carmelo Hayes. Dunne congratulates Hayes on tonight's win and says he's still champion, but for now. The announcers hype next week's NXT before we go back to the ring for the main event. NXT champion Bron Breakker makes his way out to a pop. We get formal ring introductions from Taylor. Back and forth to start the match. Breakker applies a headlock but Escobar stomps his foot. Breakker drops Escobar and gets some barking from the crowd as he stands tall. Bron runs the ropes but Escobar nails a big dropkick. Escobar smiles and wastes some time, allowing Bron to get right back up. Bron tells him that wasn't bad. They go at it again and Bron rolls Escobar around the mat. Bron then lifts Escobar for a long vertical suplex in the middle of the ring. Bron kips up and gets some more barking from the crowd. Bron chases Escobar around the ring and back in, sending Wilde and Mendoza stepping to the side. They bring it back in and Bron levels Escobar with a stiff shot. Bron scoops Escobar for a backbreaker. Wilde gets on the apron and yells at Bron. Bron approaches and Wilde jumps back to the floor. Escobar takes advantage and knocks Bron to the floor, then nails a suicide dive to put Bron down on the entranceway. Escobar poses and then sends Bron into the steel ring steps. Escobar brings it back in and keeps control, nailing a neck breaker for a 2 count. Escobar puts a knee to the back and stretches Bron's neck. Santos drops Bron again but wastes some time. Fans do dueling chants now. Escobar keeps control until Bron backs him into the corner with lefts and rights. Escobar drops Bron with a boot to the jaw out of nowhere. Escobar with running double knees into the corner for another 2 count. Escobar has Bron on the steel steps now, grinding his face into the ring post. Escobar brings it back in and drops elbows. Escobar grounds Bron and works on the arm and neck once again. Fans try to rally for Breakker as the referee checks on him. Escobar pulls back on the neck as Bron struggles to get free. Bron fights up but Escobar unloads and beats him right back down. Bron is on his knees now while Escobar holds him and talks some trash in his face. Escobar says this is his time. He goes to deliver a big right hand but Bron catches it. Fans rally as Bron fights back to his feet and rocks Escobar with a right hand, then levels him off his feet. Bron ducks a shot and hits a big side slam as fans continue to bark. Bron is fired up now. Mendoza gets on the apron but Bron knocks him off. Wilde gets on the apron but Bron launches him into the ring, then clotheslines him to the floor. Lopez gets on the apron now but the referee is distracted with her. Dolph Ziggler rushes the ring from the crowd and levels Bron with a big super kick when he turns around as the crowd goes wild. Escobar tries to capitalize but Bron kicks out at 2. Ziggler throws a fit at ringside and can't believe it. Escobar is also shocked. Ziggler goes to crawl back in the ring but Tommaso Ciampa stops him and they start brawling at ringside as fans cheer them on. They fight away from the ring. Escobar charges and Bron catches him but Escobar nails a tornado DDT. Escobar goes to the top but has to roll through as Bron moves. Bron blocks the Phantom Driver and comes back with a big spear takedown. Bron yells out and drops his straps as fans cheer him on. Bron presses Escobar high in the air and drops him into a power slam for the pin to win and retain. Winner, Bron Breakker. After the match, Bron stands tall as the music hits and we go to replays. Breakker raises the NXT title in the air while we see Escobar sitting up against the ring on the floor. Breakker places the NXT title on his shoulder as Vengeance Day goes off the air,